Hello everyone. Good morning and welcome back for this week for the podcast Les Millionnaires des Diamants. I am with my colleague Sylvain this morning. So for those who are following us for a couple of weeks, or for those who are watching us, listening us for the first time, for our podcast, there is three different themes that we are covering throughout the week. So on Monday and Tuesday, my colleague and I, Sylvain, are covering the book. We get inspired by it. It's The Sixth Pillar of Self-Esteem from Nathaniel Branden that we are looking at to bring you some new material to help you develop yourself on the leadership side, for us, like the self-esteem side, the financial side also. So we are covering many areas throughout our podcast. And we already covered the sixth pillar of self-esteem into our book. But now, since 2 or 3 weeks, we are in the section about understanding what are the external factors that can influence the most a child, somebody that is evolving in the world of today, that can influence most is self-esteem. So today, we are jumping into a new chapter, but just before we get in it, I just want to remind you that in 2 weeks, yes, like not this Saturday, but the next one, this will be our conference, Les Millionnaires des Diamants, on which you can register. So there's the link just down the screen that you can look at and go register yourself for only $25. I don't know if we still have some physical place for the conference, but this is a virtual one that you can be, no matter where you are in the world, you can watch this conference. So don't forget to register. There is still 2 weeks left to register for it. So I will bring back Sylvain at the end of the podcast. So for now, bye Sylvain. Okay, so yes, we are starting a new chapter. We want to look at self-esteem throughout the lens of school, because school is a big part of our life. It is a big part when we are a child during elementary school, when we are teenager throughout high school and college, and also when we get to like CJEP, university, or even like professional formation that you can take. So we want to look at how actually that system, how that environment can influence most the us, because we are going through that system. So first thing that I want to look at is how school, okay, can be seen in two different ways depending on what kind of teacher you will have throughout your curriculum. So first of all, we need to understand that school can be a second chance for a lot of kids. Why? Because for many children, okay, school become kind of a sanctuary. It's a place where, yes, they have a second chance to build themselves because they don't have that at home. And this is what we have covered in the previous podcast. If you are like born into kind of a dysfunctional home, dysfunctional family, you know that today's a lot of kids are part of a family that is separated. The parents are divorced, or sometimes that they are born in a place where there's a lot of poverty. So there's many factors that can influence. Or for those kids, school can become a second chance. Why? Because they will have good teacher. Okay, so what is a good teacher? A good teacher is somebody that will see the kids for who he is, no matter what is that baggage, okay, that he came from, no matter what is that type of family or that type of parents that he having. So he believe in child's competence and goodness, okay, against all odds. So he is the kind of teacher that will treat student with respect. And by his example, he will be a model, okay, of healthy human relationship. The teacher show that he has a good relationship with his other colleague. They are working well together. And that feeling of respect is also something that is shown into the classroom. Good teachers are the one who refuse to accept, okay, a child negative self-concept, okay? No matter if the kids, okay, is telling, I'm not good enough, okay? He will not believe the kids. He will always try, okay, to go against that mantra and just be sure that he's able to transmit his vision, okay? So yes, teacher can literally save life for some kids. And I'm pretty sure, okay, if you ask people, okay, even like adult today that like maybe drop out of school during high school, if you ask them, is there a teacher, okay, are there teacher throughout your life that have maybe a bigger impact on you? And I know for myself, okay, even if I was coming from like a very good family, very good environment, we're not rich, not poor, but like pretty middle class like family, we were good at school. I can say that there were so many good teachers throughout my life that helped me, okay, continue, okay, and share the passion that I have today of teaching, of helping people about like public speaking and all of that. And one of that teacher that I wish that I could like found back, see, like, and talk to him was Maxim. Maxim, like, was for me a teacher that I had three times during like my years in high school, and like for me, he was really the representation of a good human being, a good teacher, and how important for him it was like that we succeeding and that we know that we can build everything that we want in life. So he's the one that actually I took example and I thought myself, I want to be a teacher later. So every time I got into that at school, I was still thinking of him because he made such a huge difference on my life. And I can also say from one of my friends, okay, that from my perspective, it was Kevin, and Kevin was actually so much more different from his sister, brother, and from his parent. From my perspective, he was coming from a dysfunctional family. And I think that for him, school became really that sanctuary was he was able like to build his confidence and become today one of a big reference for English school, and also he is working like with the ministry and all of that. So I'm pretty sure that for him it became that type of school. But on the other end, okay, what we need to know is that school can become, okay, what we call an incarceration for some kids. Okay. And the reason why is not because they see school as a prison, it's because some type of teacher, unfortunately, are what we call bad teacher. Okay. And those bad teacher, most of the times, is because they lack self-esteem or even proper training. Okay. So what is a bad teacher? Okay. Is somebody that humiliate, ridicule, and use sarcasm, okay, with kids. He compared the student, okay, to divide them. He cultivate a terror of making mistakes, and they use discipline, okay, to threat and fear. And when I was reading that section, it made me instantly think of one of my on-job training that I had throughout university. My second on-job training, I've decided like to go out of my comfort zone. So I came from like the public school, so I thought myself I need to go. What is like private school? Okay, so I wanted to look at that environment. Usually I made a easier connection with women. So I thought myself, let's just pick like a man for my mentor for this on-job training. I got out of my comfort zone. Unfortunately, later, maybe I regret it, but not that much because I've learned by the counter example. That teacher, just to let you see how he was reacting in class, not acting, but reacting. I did remember the first period that I had with him. He said to me, oh, sit there. That place is empty. So you can see the classroom from a different perspective. So I thought myself, oh, that's great. That's interesting. And during the first period, he didn't even introduce me to the student. So student didn't know that I was a stagiaire. I don't know like how to say that in English, but they don't know I was there like because I was at university. And in the second period that I had with him, he made me sit at the exact same place. And at the middle of the class, he even said, "Oh, here is my stagiaire. Okay, he's the one that is on training with me. You will see in a couple of times." That's it. And in that classroom, I still remember, okay, he was talking about China, how like there were a middle class evolving in China. And he was trying like to convey a message that China is becoming like a huge superpower. So he wrote on like the board, okay, 400 million. And he was looking at the kids in classroom and say, do you realize how big it is? That middle classroom is so much more than the entire country of the United States. And kids did not react. Kids sometimes like were bored, not very interesting. But he was like knocking on the board, okay, and hitting the board and say, you don't know what it represents. You don't know that what. And I was like, oh my God. And even at some point, I had a period that I have to give a lesson and I made an error. Like he ridiculed me in front of the classroom saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Just go at the back and I will continue my lesson. So I was completely like shattered and I thought myself, oh my God, is that really a teacher here in a school? So yes, those kind of teacher exist, but let's just be reassured that it's not the majority, because what is great is that the self-esteem concept, okay, one of the professional group that are the most receptive about it are the teacher. But there is a problem, and this is the problem that we are going to work throughout the next podcast and with what Sylvain will teach us in a few minutes. So there is a trap. Okay, so they say that the self-esteem movement in school right now has been discredited by the simplistic and harmful approaches that are praising everything regardless of merit. So the kids doesn't succeed, great, you try it. Okay, instead of yes, great, you try it, but here's on what we need to work. Okay, so we always praise everything. We are handling like good grades, gold stars like candy. Okay, and we instilling a sense of entitlement, okay, that are disconnected from the behavior and the character. So we always say, oh, it's because it's different. Yes, he can act this way, instead of understanding, yes, okay, he needs some support, but those behavior are not acceptable. So this is so important, okay, to understand that right now the culture that we have can be some things that don't let kids develop their self-esteem. So what we need to get back to is be sure that we connect and we talk about that reality-based self-esteem. Okay, so to understand that our ability to assess need to be realistic. Okay, we should not lie to ourselves, and we should not lie, especially as teacher, okay, to the kids. So the crucial point, okay, is okay that yes, you can have a bad grade but still have good self-esteem. Okay, but you cannot believe that you are good when you are actually not necessarily good at it. Okay, so we really need to instill like that structure just to be sure that kids understand that, okay, I'm not the best at, I believe in my capacity, and not I know that I'm good if I am not. So those mantra, okay, that are always saying, okay, you are good. Yes, positive thinking is important, okay, but positive thinking without reality check and action, okay, is nothing. It's like it's what we call magical thinking, and magical thinking is a scam. Okay, so it is not true. So what we need to remember is yes, kids are getting to school increasingly like what we call wounded. Okay, there is much more broken family, as I said, poverty, abuse, loneliness, okay, some thoughts, okay, that are sometimes so hard to change, okay, in the mind of the kids. No, school cannot solve everything, but good teacher can make an enormous difference. Okay, so in that context, okay, we need to remember that we need to be authentic, that self-esteem is something that we need to instill in like the development of the kids. So what we want to look at is how the school is built today. And in the following podcast, starting tomorrow, we will get deeper into what are the action that teacher, okay, can do in classroom and in that environment to sustain, okay, a good development of self-esteem. So I'm bringing back Sylvain for the next part.
Yes. All right. Good morning, everyone. So yes, of course, we, as Jean-Philippe said, so school we have to make sure that we are going to uh, help the kids to raise their self-esteem, and of course, true the true purpose of going to school is to develop kids for the next generation. Okay, so now of course we have the society change, and we need worker that they have they develop their thinking. Okay, they develop their how to be criticized about the society, about the resolving problems. So it's not the same that when we were in the 1940, or just me in 1980. So what we were asking for at the school should not be the same right now, because the society evolve and change. So whether or not we are realizing it, every educational system transmit a vision of what it's mean to be a human. Okay, so we ask like the question: is it independent thinking? It's a threat or it's a value? Should a child should be controlled or develop? Okay, is a child basically competent or fundamentally deficient? Okay, so that's question that we can ask ourselves. But the true purpose of education cannot be reduced to transferring information, memorizing content, and producing conformity. I remember when I was kids, we were a lot memorizing things, poem, and it was something that we learned. Now, less we don't do it that anymore in class, okay, or less. So yes, it's changing, but the true purpose of education is to support the development of a mind capable of thinking, and this is what it's going to come. So uh, when we were let's say in the old days, okay, for a long time the school primarily value obedience, silence, stillness, and conformity to rule. And it's the case again, okay, but it's different, a little bit different. Historically this made sense, but now we no it makes sense, because at that time we had like an industrial society. We need workers who are punctual, disciplined, able to follow the instruction. But now the world has changed, okay, and of course our philosophy has to change. So let's say we take an example. Okay, we imagine that our student the student is follow every rules. Okay, he never question anything. Okay, he always wait to be told what to do. They do well in school, but the moment he leave the structure, of course he's going to maybe hesitate. They maybe are going to doubt themselves. Okay, they look for authority. Why? Because this is what we learn to him. Okay, to be confirmed, to conf- to confirm to the what the society asks. Okay, so the problem it's not the obedience itself. The problem it's when obedience replace thinking. Okay, so an education that value conformity above all else, we uh, about ALS is going to weaken your self-esteem. Okay, because the child self-esteem is going to depend on meeting others expectation. Okay, so he's not learning to be to 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 have a critical thinking. Okay, so we don't have to confuse self-esteem with feeling good. So I love in that book they say, okay, sometimes like Jean-Philippe said, we praise the kids. Okay, we're gonna say, oh, congratulations. Okay, we are going to sing the song. It's a B R A. Okay, V N O, bravo, bravo. Okay, but you know when you do that, okay, it's not the same because the kid's going to feel good, but doesn't mean that he's going to have a healthy self-esteem. Okay, it's symbolic, but it's not something that he did something amazing. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are working more on the self-esteem and their ability to think and ask questions and you know um, resolve problem. Okay, and not just applaud whenever they, okay, that for them to feel special or amazing. Okay, because there's not sometimes not a real effort. So that it's going to be more we are causing more an illusion of self-esteem. Okay, so this is what we are going to do with the kids. Okay, so of course when we see the kids at school and we are telling them that they are a good kids. Okay, so it's going to not we all not always strengthen their self-esteem, but we are going to encourage them, and it's that way. um so in the modern world, of course, we need kids to think, to learn continuously, because right now the world's always evolve. So we don't want them to be stagnant. Okay, so when they are going on when they are going to work, they always have to learn continuously. But that was not the case of my father. That was not the case of um, my mother. Okay, that was not the same. But now we ask them to take responsibility in their job, to collaborate with other people. So this is now the workplace change. So we have to change the school. Okay, so today we are expecting people to innovate, adapt themselves, manage uncertainty, and make decision. But how can we expect this from adults who spend 15 years in a system that mostly taught them to don't ask question, okay, to comply, to repeat tasks? So it's not something that we can ask. So of course everything change, so we have to change, of course, the system. So one powerful question that we have to ask is, how does my work contribute to helping young human being become as autonomous, creative, and responsible thinker? This is what the teacher they have to think about this question. They just don't have to make sure that they are going to inform kids. They are not having kids that they are always be compliant, but they have to be critical. They have to ask questions, resolve problem. So as I said, so to make sure that kids are going to think by themselves, they can understand, they can continuously learn, and of course they are going to be the next generation who's going to continue to change and evolve that world. All right, so thank you everyone. So we're going to see you my chair. So we're gonna see you tomorrow. So now we're jumping